let's say that we're in a debate, a PenSub comes up and he says, well, actually I ask him, so punishment makes sins okay? Say, no, it's just the end of sinning. Then I would say, if the sin is put away, then it would be put away with its end. Needless to suffer the end, meaning a penalty substitution. If Jesus died as our sin and curse, there's no need for PS. If Christ bears away our sin into death, there's no need for God to impute our sin to him. Another thought, I could say to him, God doesn't take away the righteousness of the righteous, he takes sin. And the PenSub might say, God didn't take away his righteousness, but gave it to us. And I could say, then God didn't take away our sin, but gave it to Christ. And the PenSub might say, right. And I would say, well, the Bible everywhere talks about Christ taking sin, but nowhere talks about Jesus' righteousness. I might say so. Then we have another one where I might say, God doesn't condemn a righteous PenSub. God didn't condemn him, but slays us for sin with his body. And then I could say, then God didn't spare us from condemnation. The Bible talks about God not condemning those who believe, and nowhere says that Christ was condemned except by evil man. Amen. And why do they have to say the sinner? Why not the sin like me? And I think he puts away sin. Well, because penalty substitution. Naturally, they have to say that he puts away the sinner somehow. But God is a God of judgment and delights in judgment. God will not justify the hard heart. He has no means to forgive them. No PS bribe. Just because he died before we repented doesn't mean that we'd never turn to him. God gives many people faith. Besides, God doesn't take away righteousness. Isaiah 5:23, he takes away sin, mentioned many times. And when he slays a sin, it's not by slaying a righteous man, but by having his people sacrifice. His sanctification is in making his sacrifice to split us from sin, not retribution for unbelief. Besides, if Jesus wasn't a fake sinner, he was really righteous. His sacrifice didn't fulfill the Levitical law. He wasn't a Levite. He made a new sacrifice using his own body. A new way to relate to God. God accepted this new way. Of course, PenSubs know this. The old way is shadowed. Just as you put your sin on the animal, God lays our sin on Christ. But unlike the old way, one's enough because he ever lives to filter our wrong in God. No wrath against us nor him. Either way, wrath is for unbelievers, not sacrifices. I think of Noah's covenant when God made peace with sinners simply by confessing the sin. God didn't punish something in order to get that justification or confession. Animal taking away sins declares God's innocence to forgive. You don't punish the lamb.